right? So you guys, those of you who are here earlier, now listen, I know that pediatricians are telling people to wait. I want you to know I have pediatricians who very much support what we're doing too. So I actually have one that she was applauding us, and I was like, could you write me a testimonial? Because this is, you know, it's a challenging issue because people are saying wait, right? But what happens with the child when you wait is they actually become more independently thinking, and it's not then a natural part of their experience. So from the time they're infants, and for those of you who are going to have another one, this is great, you have this information for next time, okay? You want to have them sit on the toilet whenever you can see that they're going to the bathroom. If you are staying home with your child, you can tell when they're going to the bathroom. There's no reason when they're an infant that you wouldn't have them go ahead and sit on. Now, what we used was what I'm going to call a potty chair, you know, the little one that sits on the ground. And when I went into the toilet, as soon as they could sit up, they sat on the potty chair. And I would talk about what was happening, right? It wasn't a private thing. It's very much, in Montessori, everything's very much out in the open. Now, I know some people, like my husband, this was very challenging for him. Like, he had to, like, breathe through that, right? Because they would want to go in when he was going to the bathroom. And he, you know, has different body parts than my two girls. And, like, and it took him a while to get, okay, you know, it's just all a part of nature, honey. It's all a part of nature. So, anyway, so the earlier the better.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Sure.
When you say you sit the child on the potty chair, do you take the diaper off, or do you do take the diaper off?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. And yes, I did.
Okay.
Mhm.
And
And
force them? What if they don't like it?
Yeah, because
no, absolutely not.
So just try it, and then if they don't.
Because it's just a natural part of what you're doing. So for most infants, they're like, oh wow, this is what we do. You know, like they don't have that will yet right now. Some of them won't like it, and that's okay, they don't have to. That's the beauty of starting when they're really young, that is that there's no pressure around it. Now there are cultures that don't do diapers. I need you to know that. They literally don't do diapers, and from the time the child is an infant, like little infant, they watch the signs of the child going to the bathroom and put them on the toilet, and those children are going on the toilet 6-7 months, and as soon as they can walk, they're able to get there on their own. So it's just, we've developed it that it's this thing that's later, something that we do work on later. And part of what they're finding is that there's a great book, Diapering Without Borders, it's called, and it talks about how different cultures handle that, you know, toileting differently. But part of what's interesting is that they find in cultures where it's accepted, it just is a part, there's no power struggle around it, it just is what's so, which is really, you know, not what we've developed culturally. And I am a conspiracy theorist, so I actually believe that the diaper companies were like, oh, let me write some books about how this should be later so that we can get another year's worth of diapers out of people. So that's I'm just putting it out there, that's my theory. So anyway, so you also want to talk about going to the bathroom like right from the beginning, like from the time they're a baby. And the RIE method of working with infants is really beautiful, and they talk about how every time you're working with a child, you work with the child in the exact same way so that they can participate as much as possible in the process, right? And as soon as they're able to stand up, you're having them stand to diaper them. So for those of you who are looking to be in alignment with school, which I highly recommend, they stand to diaper at school, okay? Because then the child goes and think about if you're laying on your back, you have no capacity for doing anything, right? But if you're standing when you're getting changed, you actually you can take off the sides, you can pull the diaper down. You can take the diaper over to the garbage, or in some cases we've got cloth diapers. You're participating, which means that you actually are an active part of the process rather than being a passive kind of bystander to your own self-care and your own toileting, right? Okay, so they stand up at school, okay? We have to keep a diaper changing table, access to it, because OCC wants to see it, but we don't use it, okay? And it is easiest, and I'm gonna I know a lot of you are past this stage, but it is easiest between the ages of 12 and 20 months, okay, to do. So, now, one of the things that I've heard a lot of you say is they showed interest, right? Great. So what we recommend, as soon as they show interest, like they want to, maybe they come in when you're going to the bathroom, they want to flush the toilet, they look at what's happening in there, they start to isolate themselves if they're going to the bathroom. Have you noticed that? Any of those signs, what we recommend is that that's when you go all in, okay? And the thing is that going back and forth for them is very challenging. So like going from underwear or sitting on the toilet and then putting a diaper back on once they're in the process of toilet learning is like, that's actually confusing for them, because wait a second, then so they sit on the toilet, but then they put on their diaper and they can't actually feel when they go, because it's all caught. It's designed, those diapers are amazing. I mean, you can put a ton of liquid in there and they don't feel it. So how would they know that it actually has them not experience their own body function, right? So one of the things that if you are looking for them to be able to know that they've gone to the bathroom is you can use cloth diapers, okay? We did cloth with my girls. Well, I did cloth when I stayed home with Sia. My Georgie didn't get cloth because she had her grandmother with her, so her grandma was like, we're not doing cloth. But anyway, so you want them to feel it and to have the experience of it, right? So we really recommend not doing underwear and then going back to diapers, except for sleeping, if that's what you choose to do as a family. Does that make sense? So our recommendation is, as soon as the child shows interest, you're going to set up your environment. And you may probably want to set it up before there's interest. And there's a picture on the back of a prepared environment, and I'll talk you through it, okay? So this is our old house in Massachusetts, and you can see my husband's legs in there. We had a really small bathroom. We had 2 really small bathrooms. So ideally, if your bathroom is large enough, going to the bathroom belongs in the bathroom, right? But if it's not, it's okay to do it in an extended environment, okay? So you're gonna have in there, now what I like to do is we kept a small toilet seat on top of the toilet with a stool set up to it, and we had a potty on the ground. Because then they had a choice, right? And having choice, so you have some power, some choice. Quick story, I had a 5-year-old come in to me. He was completely obstinate. It's not about toilet learning, it's about choice. He was completely obstinate. He was completely in breakdown in the classroom. And he would not, and he was so upset that the teacher, this is 2 schools ago, brought him into me, and I said, oh, hi, Joey, and would you like to, we need to get that door shut. Would you like to shut the door with your right hand or your left hand? And he stopped, and he shut the door with his left hand, and he started to breathe again. Because all of his power somehow had been taken away, and as soon as he had a choice about something, he actually could find his grounding again, and then he and I could work through some of the stuff that was going on with him. So as much as possible, giving them a choice about anything you can is really helpful, right? So, and then you can see there's a basket of books. Now, note that there's no iPad. Okay, right? So here's the thing. Now, I will say, I'm on film. I told my husband and my family this morning, I'm like, I'm taping this, so I'm actually, see, it's like, so you can't say anything about me, and I was like, you're right, can't use any family stories. So, anyway, so when you want to make sure that it's not a entertainment time, right? You're not sitting there singing songs to them or making it this playtime, because part of what happens is then it becomes about the play rather than about what they're actually doing, their business, what they need to get done, right? And they stop paying attention to their body. Okay? Now, a book we find doesn't pull them in quite at that same level, and I know there are studies on the brain and how the brain goes in when there's an electronic in front of them. So books are great. They can still be present to what's going on, okay? Also notice that we had a basket of underwear, of clean underwear, okay? A basket of clean rags. They will clean up after themselves, okay? A spray bottle with some kind of green, I liked vinegar and water because it's safe, you know? And then you also want to have a dirty bucket, okay? So, and all of this is listed out here, but a dirty bucket so that then when they have dirty underwear or dirty, and they know that we're learning something new, so it's okay. You are going to not get it right the first time. It's okay, that's perfect, we're figuring it out, right? So there's a dirty bucket there too for them, and they can fully participate. What else did we use? Oh, it's not in this picture, but you might want to have a stool for you, because as a grown-up, sitting on the floor all day, it's a long time. But you do want to be able to kind of be down with them at eye level, right, while they're kind of going through their process, okay? So any questions about kind of setting up and preparing your home for that? No? Okay, so when they express any readiness, what I would recommend is then marking a date on the calendar and talking to them about, oh my goodness, we're going to start to use the toilet. We have to go get you some underwear. And then they go with you, and they get to pick it out. And happily, according to toddler guides, you can have cartoon characters on your underwear. Right? Now, when picking out underwear, I highly recommend getting underwear that only has an image on the front. Okay? Because, yeah.
Do you have any suggestions about that? Because I've been to like several Targets and
Not
just
having any
cannot
luck.
find stuff that's not
Covered.
right, a pattern for the whole.
I know that Target had plain ones that didn't have cartoon characters on them because we used to buy them, or we have been buying them. And then if you're having trouble with that, I hadn't known that that was a trouble at this point. Personally, probably what I would do is just buy the plain ones and then
Draw something on it.
draw something on the front.
Cool.
You could put, a heart or, I don't know, whatever, on the front so that they know what the front is. The reason you're doing that is so that they actually have the capacity to put on their own underwear, because underwear is confusing. Like, it has a lot of holes, and how does it work, and right? So, notice there's not a change of pants, because when you're going through the process, I would recommend that they don't need to wear pants. You don't need to do more laundry. Like, underwear's great, right? Some people just go naked. But I liked having something to catch the bowel movement, personally. So it did not land on the bathtub or wherever. So, all right, so you're set up. Now, one of the things, yeah, go ahead.
So my daughter is at this stage already, where you said if they're interested and they seem ready.
Right,
So do I start now and let the classroom know?
yes,
Oh, okay,
I would.
okay.
Your daughter sounds like she's,
Yeah, she's ready.
there's no
There's no doubt
reason.
about
I
it.
take her after school today and go get her underwear.
I have like 40 pairs at home on my wall. Yeah.
Okay, then maybe she gets to pick out the ones that go in the basket.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like anything that
Okay.
you can have her involved in. Like, you get to say, we are gonna set this up.
Yeah,
so
set
that
it up
you can-
together.
So that you can do this, because
Okay.
you're showing me you are ready,
Yeah.
right?
So just kind of, maybe I should speak to Ms. Corey or,
Yes.
and let them all know where we're at.
Right, because
Okay.
as soon as you start, she's gonna come in underwear.
Oh, okay,
She's not gonna wear a diaper at school anymore.
great.
You
Okay.
do a diaper, see, that's the thing, the alignment is underwear at home, underwear at school. And quite frankly, if they're at school, we're doing a lot of the heavy lifting,
Right.
which we're happy to do.
And I'm happy that you're doing it.
So, okay, so.
Got it, thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, of course.
Okay, so you're gonna, and here's, a couple other things. So you're gonna want a step stool to your sink. If you don't have a sink that they can use already, that they can reach, you don't wanna have to lift them up every time they need to wash their hands. You need that anyway in your house. They need to have a way to wash their hands. Some people have had trouble getting, because their bathroom, the way it was set up, they couldn't get a stool in front of the sink in the bathroom. So they actually set up a little, like at IKEA, they've got these little shelves, right, that are this big, and you literally put a pitcher with water. They have hand washing in the classroom set up this way, a pitcher with water, you have a bowl, you have some hand soap there and a little towel, and they can literally wash their hands in that setup so they can reach it. The only thing with that is you have to reset it every time, which is what we do in the classroom. They can carry the water over to the toilet, pour it down the toilet. They can, and I would get a little hand soap that half water, half soap, because they're gonna really like it, right? And, and the other thing I would recommend is getting a spray bottle for your bathtub and a hand soap dispenser for your bathtub. Not that has soap in it, but so they can spray to their heart's content, and they can pump to their heart's content, and it's not with the vinegar water and the soap, right? You just put water in them, and they are like, they're, thrilled to get to, right? Doesn't this sound like that'd be so exciting? Like, you get to pump and spray it, right? So I highly recommend, and they're building the skill too, right? So, and let's see, step to the toilet. Now, you don't want to have it set up so they have to ask you. Like, it really needs to be set up so that they can be independent in the home environment from like the very beginning. So you want to have access to hand washing, you want to have access to the toilet, so that they know that they can go in there whenever they need to go. Yeah.
So we we don't have a toilet on our first floor, just on the second floor. So right now, like, that's where his little toilet is. And I'm just kind of like keeping it all in there. I know that a lot of people are like, have a toilet in every room, but I feel like that's
You don't need to do
the
that.
bathroom,
Right.
and that's where we should, like,
Yep.
I'm not interested in having a toilet in my dining room.
I would have.
Especially because then I have to go through my whole
Right.
house. Like, I have to go upstairs with, and I'm like, you can't.
I would have another small,
Yeah.
I would have in every bathroom
Okay.
a way for them to independently go to the
Yes,
bathroom.
okay.
That does not mean you have to have a step stool in every bathroom
Okay.
and the whole setup.
Right.
We, in the picture here,
Yeah.
we used that as our main, because it was on the ground floor.
Okay.
So she had two choices there for which toilet, she could use the potty or
Right.
she could use the toilet.
Okay.
And then upstairs, she just had the potty. Now, sometimes she'd ask me to lift her up to the toilet upstairs, and that was okay because it wasn't our main, but she did have access independently in every room in the house.
Okay.
Not every room, every bathroom.
Right, okay.
Every bathroom.
Okay.
Because we don't go to the bathroom in the
Yeah, kitchen, dining room.
kitchen.
Yeah.
The other thing you want to prepare is your car. I would highly recommend getting a small potty to have in the back of your car, okay? Yeah.
See, there are, what's it called? There are travel potties that actually close and lock, so even if there's pee or poop in it, they can
Wow.
close securely, so you can carry them around.
Yeah.
And we have one of those, which is great when you're out and about somewhere.
Yeah.
Where you can't necessarily empty it immediately,
Right.
and it doesn't leak or anything. It's called, I forget.
I
forget the
had
name
not
of it.
heard of that, but
They're on
that
Amazon.
sounds,
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
great.
I've seen
I
people
had-
undo them at Belvedere Square in the grass.
Yeah. But sometimes you can't. I do that too, but like if there's poop in there,
Yeah,
You
yeah,
might wanna
right,
do that.
right,
So-
yeah.
So that has been really handy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, those are handy, and,
Or head
you
on,
know,
you
this
know,
was,
like-
I did this
Like,
5 years ago when that wasn't invented yet, so I carried a bunch of grocery bags, like plastic grocery bags in the back of my car, and whenever we went on a trip, so part of the dilemma that some people have is that they actually, as soon as they get in the car, they put a diaper back on, right? That does not go, it doesn't fly, because then the child's communicated, oh, well, but you can go to the bathroom in your pants in the car, right? That's unacceptable, right? That's not accurate, right? So we just, you know, we put down a towel. We were very low tech in the car seat, and there were a couple times we had to wash the car seat. And we had a little potty in the back of the car, and we have a Highlander, so we pulled over on the highway a couple times and just sat the child in the back, now way over, like on a, you know, like I'm not advocating for the little side thing on the highway, but literally way over, and Sia went, you know, just right there. I probably shouldn't have said Sia. Sorry, Sia. Anyway, she's gonna watch this be like, Mom. And she's 10, so so you want to have access. And we'll talk about also the timing, like of when you're gonna go out of the house and like that too, okay? So, but make sure, and I just want to make sure I got everything here. Oh, I have a timer on here because for some people like me, when you're going through the initial first couple days of it, I forgot what we were doing. And so I set a timer for, what I found was that for Georgie, I set a timer every 20 minutes and it reminded me. Because I got, you know, I'd start folding laundry or something and the time evaporates and all of a sudden she's had an accident, or we call it an incident. And she wasn't, like, I needed a reminder, right? So anyway, if you can have 2 adults available for the boot camp portion, that's really helpful. I didn't because my husband, like, this was really hard for him, and he's just a softie. Like, he's this sweet, sweet, soft, amazing man, and but he literally, sleep training was a no-go, and toilet learning was a no-go for him. And so I just did it when he wasn't home, right? For the most part. So,
You're so kind.
No, right, he's just, like, you wait till you meet him, nicest guy, right? So anyway, then for snack foods, you're gonna wanna have watery snack foods, right? And it was the only time we ever served juice in our house. My girls thought both of them thought they'd won the lottery. Because they came down the first morning of toilet learning and I was like, oh, would you like some juice? And they were like, really? Like, I can have juice? What is that? You know, like, they couldn't even believe it. And I watered it down, but for them it was great. And they drank and drank and drank and drank, because you want them to be filled up so that they are practicing, right? All day long, right? The other thing, watery snacks, no bananas, nothing that's going to constipate them, right? You want like strawberries and watermelon and cantaloupe and all of those foods that actually have to go to the bathroom, okay? And, oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The berries. So does like the whole diaper rash is gonna go away with it, but does the berry sensitivity kind of stop once there's no more diapers? So like if Ari
I
has
don't know.
berries.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do berries then with her.
Okay.
If she has a sensitivity,
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
Like,
He loves them, but
Yeah.
it results in
yeah.
some bad.
How about watermelon? Is that okay?
I mean, if he'll eat it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, if you can, stay away from crackers because they're constipating, peanut butter, like that. Anyway. Okay, so, and then, so getting them ready. So we talked about changing them standing up. You want to talk about using the toilet. Now, one of the things, in Montessori is we really try to use correct terms. So we say urine and bowel movement, right? And we say toilet, and we say, do you need to go to the bathroom? We don't say, do you need to pee-pee? And we use correct anatomical, is that right? Anatomical words as well. So we recommend that you do the same so that it doesn't, part of what's interesting is like we don't call our elbow a wee-wee, right? Like it's, why do we have other names for other parts of our bodies? That's all we're saying. Like it's just a part of the body and it has a function, right? So I'll also let them see you using the toilet, talk about what's happening, and you can talk to them about their bladder, right? Start having a conversation about their bladder. And what you find is if you push on this part of the body, you actually have to go to the bathroom all of a sudden. So you can say, your bladder's right here, it's holding the urine, we need to empty it into the toilet. Like you talk to them about what's actually happening to their body. And I used to push, because when she, you know, with Georgie, my Georgie, she, like, she's gonna run the world. Seriously, she's gonna run the world. She she was completely into it, and then the first time she had to sit on the toilet, she was so resistant, and she drank and drank and drank, and she didn't have a diaper on, and she started to scream, right? And I pushed here and said, this is where I'm holding the urine, and she's, you know, I actually had to hold her on the toilet, upset, and it took her about 2 minutes of hollering, because I knew she had to go. And then she released into the toilet, and she realized that nothing bad happened. Because for her, she, you know, like you're releasing a part of yourself, you don't know, never a problem again. But you have to know your own child. I knew for her, it was Sia, I set up the environment, Sia went in the first 2 days. You should know, if you're a drinker, have some wine at home, be ready. I started drinking very early on those days. I'm not kidding. I was like, is 2 o'clock too early? And so, because it's, the first couple days are awful. Like you tell, and my sister went through it. She's like, called me, I said, she's like, this is awful. And I was like, I told you it was going to be awful. But then 2 days, she's like, oh, he got it. I was like, yes, that's what happens, right? So really what happens is they have to go through the process, and you can either extend it over 6 months or you can make it a 3-day process, right? So you clear your schedule, you tell them you're going to count down to the day, you're excited, there's no pressure, and then they wake up in the morning of that day that you're going to go, and you have the environment prepared, and it's next to the bathroom. If you can, it's next to the kitchen too. And you guys are just going to spend time in that area for the first 2 days. That's why it's awful for you, right? And we rolled up our rugs, okay? We put a tarp on the couch. Like we just got the environment ready, but spent most of the time in that small area that didn't have a rug, right? We had hardwood floors, so it was easier. And then you're going to say, today's the day. They take off their diaper, they put it in the toilet. Immediately upon rising, they sit on the toilet every day, like immediately upon, because that's when we have to go, right? Have them sit on the toilet, then they go and they, you know, get their underwear on. Now, one of the things you're going to want to work with them on during, because you're going to have 2 days with them. Have a lot of time, right? You're going to want to work on them being able to you have all the time in the world, which is so great, to put on their underwear by themselves, getting dressed by themselves, okay? Now, underwear, I was going to bring a pair of underwear. I'm not kidding, I was going to show you. But anyway, okay, so when you're putting on underwear, I'm going to give you a lesson on how to teach a child to put on underwear, okay? So you've got, hopefully they don't have underwear. All right, so you take your underwear, you put the thumbs in the outside, okay? You lay it on the ground. Hopefully you have an image that's on the top, okay? Notice when you give a child a lesson, especially under the age of 4, you don't want to use words unless you have to. If you're using words, they will listen to what you say, and because they're forming language and they're actually focused on your mouth rather than focused on what you're doing, okay? So you're really going to say, I'm going to give you a lesson on how to put and you do it so slowly and so precisely. That's what Montessori teachers go to school for, right? So you set out the underwear. And you're gonna want to have a pair of your underwear so you can show them how to put it on, right? And then okay, right? Pants, you can teach the same way, lay them flat on the ground. You want to teach them that they want to see their toes come out the bottom, right? Because they try to stand up while their feet are still in the pants, right? Does that all make sense? Any questions about any of that? Is that what all of y'all are doing already at home? Yes?
Well, my daughter does exactly that. She pulls them up to her sides.
Yeah.
She grabs the front and pulls it up, and then the hard part is reaching behind and
Yes.
pulling it up over her tushy. So that's the hardest part for them.
I just today, you guys are getting hot off the press, new toilet information. So one of my guides, a children's house guide, right? So they go up to children's house, and one of the things that we want to teach them is how to wipe, right? They need to know how to wipe. And she realized that they can't see, right? And wiping, we're going to have a lesson also on how to wipe, by the way. And I'm going to put this on the internet, which is really amazing. But anyway, so that is my commitment to my families. I just want you to know, like old boyfriends will be like, what is she doing? Anyway, so she put up a full-length mirror in the bathroom. And she said it took them 6 weeks last year to get their children to all be able to wipe. Took 2 days this year. Because it's kind of, it's a body function, but she has them turn around and bend over and look at their butt in the mirror, and they can actually see if they're still dirty or not. Oh, I still have poop. I still have a bowel movement. I have to wipe myself again. So I don't have that in my image because I've never thought of it, but it really is. Now you can take that mirror down as soon as they're done and they've got it mastered. It's up to you how you want to manage that, but I thought that was a really good idea, and we're going to talk to the other guides about it because they actually allow the child to be more self-sufficient. So, so you're going to have your child sit on the toilet for a minute or two, whether or not they go. Probably in the morning they will have success going, if first thing in the morning, because if they've been, unless they just released into their diaper in the morning, okay? And then if they start to go to the bathroom, you want to talk about where do they feel themselves going, so they start to get really present to the experience for their body. And then afterwards, even when they don't actually release, you're going to want to have them practice wiping, okay? So, for girls and boys, it's actually not good for girls to wipe from the front because it brings feces into the vagina and then it can get irritated, right? So, from the beginning, for all wiping purposes, right? See, this is the part. So this is why I dress extra nice on these days, so that you like it's. I don't feel like anyway. So, so they take. I would highly recommend training them on the number of toilet squares that you are comfortable with. Otherwise, they will use a lot. Like you can, so maybe you have, like we used to measure to the. Because they can't count necessarily to, whatever. So we used to measure to, we had a rim thing there, so you can measure there, and then even the toilet paper is a lesson, right? That you show them that you. And you're always so proud of yourself for whatever you do when you give a lesson. You go. Right? Because you did did it yourself, and then you fold it up, or you can ball it, whatever your method of choice is. And then you want to show them how to bend their knees so that they can get some space and then come up, right? This way, okay? So, because their cheeks are so, little butts, and you can't get in there if you're not actually opening up, okay? Is that helpful? I feel, yeah, okay, great, yes.
What about, so when we were trying this, we had a pack of wipes sitting by the little potty chair.
Yeah.
Simply because I guess we were used to them and didn't even think about using toilet paper.
Yeah.
Would you say use toilet paper because that's what's out in the world, or
Yes.
is it, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I will tell you that my dear husband did still come in with a wipe after they had wiped later, because they didn't necessarily, we didn't have a mirror, so we didn't know that there was still something going on back there. But you do want them to learn, because they are not gonna have wipes at school, they're not gonna, right? So, yeah. Any other questions before we move on? Yeah.
Okay, so
Poor Charlotte, you're sitting here like, I can just see it.
the bowel movement.
Yes,
So she's gonna wipe,
yes,
but she's not gonna be successful.
right. So you can help after you have her wipe. What we teach them to do, because they do need to know how by the time they're 3, right? But you can have them, it's just like anything else. They're gonna practice and then you're gonna support as much as necessary, right?
Okay.
But you do want her to do it, because part of what the tendency of parents is they just went and then we swoop in and take care of it for them, right? That doesn't serve them. Does that make sense?
I have another question.
Sure.
So right now she's in diapers
Mhm.
and we use wipes
Mm-hmm.
and they're nice and soft.
Yes.
And if we're gonna spend a day wiping,
Yes.
it seems to be that it's gonna be raw.
I would get nice toilet paper.
Okay, we have a septic system.
Yeah, it's hard, right,
Yeah.
right. I don't know. I
Okay.
mean, if you would like her to use wipes, she can, but she's gonna have to, you want her to build that skill, right? And maybe she does
We'll just throw
Probably-
the nice toilet paper
I was
in the,
gonna say,
in the
I would
trash.
put it in the garbage and have her still build the skill, because you don't want her to get accustomed. That's part of, well, can't tell that story either. Very challenging. Anyway, so this is called, you cannot throw any members of your family under the bus, so.
Try third person.
Yeah, right, okay, so I knew of yeah, so anyway, I knew of somebody who had somebody taking care of their child who, that person would come in and not have them, they'd wipe, right, with a wipe. And then the poor child was like, wait a second, but, this is not how we do it. So it can be confusing. And you want everybody in your child's life who's taking care of them to be on the same page. So you're gonna really want to have, they can watch the video, right? Have them participate like this. And I know it kind of feels odd, but I promise you, we've done this, I've been involved with, not even with my own children for, 15 years and helping children learn how to use the toilet. As far as I can tell, if you haven't started before they're a year old, this is the easiest way to do it. It really, and I have to tell you that once the classroom starts doing it, if you are still doing diapers at home, we had a child this year who, they started in January, the child still hadn't learned to use the toilet in the summer, because when they went home, they went into diapers, and it just extends the process. So the poor child was so confused and frustrated, right? So I highly recommend that we be in partnership on it. So you're gonna set the timer for, if you need it, you may not need it, for 20 minutes the first day, and every 20 minutes your child's gonna sit on the toilet. And you're gonna give them lessons in between on how to wipe, how to wash their hands, another great lesson, right? You have all day. I will tell you, part of what's really nice about it is if there's something that your child's not doing right now, that's a great day to give them a lesson on it. If your child, even something that doesn't have to do with toilet learning, you could bring it in, because you're gonna have some time with them, that's uninterrupted. don't plan on, I tell you, don't plan on going outside the first couple days even, like just be near the toilet, okay? As soon as you go outside, they're gonna have a bowel movement outside. Like that's just how it is. Now, after the second day, if you're gonna start, you will start seeing some success for the most part, and then you can venture out, you know, then go outside. Now, once you get past those first 3 days, then when you're gonna go, you're gonna wanna, if you're gonna go out to the store, you wanna go to have them sit on the toilet right before they leave for the store, as soon as they get to the store, right before you're gonna leave the store, and then right again when they come home. It's a big commitment, for sure, but that will ensure that they have the opportunity to be successful, and you're not, you know, saying aisle 5, clean up on aisle 5, right? So, in Target, so,
And
yeah.
that will happen.
Yeah, right.
You have to take the potty in the trunk of the car, so when you get
Yeah.
to the store, where are they going to, do you take the potty into the store?
Oh, no. I kept a toilet, a potty in the back of the car for if we were on a trip, or if we were even driving somewhere, like my in-laws lived an hour away, so midway through the trip they'd have to go, and we weren't necessarily near a toilet. Now, and I would just put them on the toilet in the back of my Highlander. And Anne had said, oh, Anne just left, but she said there's actually a toilet now that is a travel toilet that locks in the pee or the urine and the feces, so you can literally carry it with you. She says it doesn't leak. They used it to travel to Belgium. So I just used a plastic bag and threw it in there and took it home, but that's definitely easier. Yeah, sure.
So when you say you get to the store, you're talking about in the trunk, right? Or do you actually go in the store and use the store bathroom?
I go into the store bathroom.
Okay.
Personally, that's how I did it. You could use the trunk, but I just had them part of, and we started using stores that had the toilet at the front of the store. I'm serious. All of a sudden it became like I didn't want to go all the way to the back of Lowe's, you know, so literally we did as much shopping as we could with my girls where it was easy. You know, so like Target, the toilets are right there, so you walk in, you go to the bathroom, you come out, and then you go to the store. Does that make sense?
The new Lowe's has them at the front.
The what?
The new Lowe's has them at the
They should
front.
be up front.
I know.
I mean, and, okay, can I just go on the record? Here's my other thing, okay? Why is it that there are no child-size sinks at any of these public, like, any of the stores, except for Walmart? Walmart has a child size and Disneyland. And I don't like either of those institutions. Like, and you know, like, and they're the only ones that have these child size sinks.
Even the zoo isn't set up.
No! All these places that are about children, anyway. And you know how many there are a lot of short people in the world. Like, they need a small sink, anyway.
So I was saying, so in between, like maybe the 20 minutes we decide to do the boot camp, in between the 20 minutes, if he's having an accident,
Yep.
maybe is it good for me maybe like if he's urinating, like to pick him up and hurry him and take him to the toilet,
yes.
just so he knows like okay the urine
Yes.
needs to go inside the
And
toilet.
he probably will tell you because it'll be the first experience he has of it running down his legs.
Okay.
Like how often they haven't experienced it, they've had diapers on most of the time, right? So he'll be like, and you go, oh great, this is what goes on the toilet, right? Nothing wrong, but here, let's get you on the toilet for that. You just got a little of it in the toilet, right? Now, you don't want to praise. It's not good job, not good boy, and you don't base your love on their success. You love them either way, right? You love and you tell them, you know, you just peed on the floor. We got to clean that up now. There's no make wrong. There's no upset. That's why. Oh yeah, 6 accident of the day. I'm really excited about this. So you can't make them wrong. There can't be any pressure around it, right?
And my second question, so I'm guessing my son, to me, I think he's more of like a visual type learner.
Yep.
And I know something that works with him, so we like to videotape him a lot. different things that he's doing around the house. And if he gets the phone, he'll look at it and look at the video, then he'll put it down and go do exactly what he's saying. So if we was, do you think it's a good idea if we did videotape him, like using the bathroom, and then if he was to look at it, like maybe it'll help him, like, okay, this is what I need, so he can see himself, you know, doing it.
I don't know. I don't know. I have two, first of all, I believe in doing what works,
Mhm.
okay? And every child has something that, like you know your child and you know what's gonna work for them. I'm hesitant around it because we're such a videotaping culture that we're
Right.
taking pictures of inappropriate things, and
Right.
he may think it's appropriate then to video you using the toilet,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I think you have to make a call on that, but
Right.
I think I might be hesitant around it.
Okay.
Maybe video him when he's come out and he's just been successful.
Mhm.
Or you could video him emptying it.
Okay.
If he chooses to go on the little one,
Mhm.
you're gonna want him to do that himself.
Okay.
That, by the way, helps
But not
them
the-
decide to use the big toilet,
Right. Yeah. Okay.
which is great. Also, when you're selecting a seat for either a potty or a seat for the toilet, you don't want them to have no electronics, no bells and whistles, I would recommend no faces, because you don't really sit on faces in the world. I liked the toilet they have at Target. God, this is like a thing for Target, except that they don't have small sinks. But anyway, for the small children. But they had ones with handles, which are really, they feel more secure. So just a plain little toilet that goes on the toilet seat that goes on the toilet, and the kind with handles are the best, because part of it is they're not secure on, they're kind of sitting on this. Imagine the size of the toilet to them is probably their shoulder height. So imagine you sitting on something that's your shoulder height with nothing to hold, like you're literally, right? It's a little nerve-wracking. Yeah.
So the toilet seats that have like the adult toilet seat, and then they also have a fold-down kid
Great.
one? Okay, perfect.
That's
I
great.
like that. She'd
Okay.
rather use that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
have one
great.
sitting in my office.
Great.
That's
Yeah.
an Amazon box.
Okay, yeah.
So we had sort of started to do a boot camp type thing, and the first day he just had nothing on,
Mhm.
and it went awesome. I mean, he was great. Like, he knew he had to go, and he went, and he even had a bowel movement. It was great. The next day we tried to put underwear on, and it didn't work at all. Like, not only was he having accidents because I think he felt like the muscle memory of having something on, but that's when he got really willful about it. And then when we started saying, do you want to go? He's like, I don't want to go on the toilet. And it just became
Right.
this
Sure,
thing. So I'm sort of wondering if
sure.
we should just not do it with no diaper, because it's too hard to do like nothing for one day and then add it in,
Right.
if that makes sense. Or
Are you asking about him, are you asking about going back to diapers?
no, so like for the first day, I think I had always heard like, oh, you can just let him go naked for the first day.
Uh-huh.
And I'm wondering if that's kind of a bad idea with
Got
him,
it.
because he likes that too much. Almost
Right.
like he has to just sort of start wearing
Right.
underwear
Right,
from the beginning.
right. Yeah, we definitely did the underwear right from the beginning. And that's what we do at school, so it's probably a good idea.
Mhm.
And when you're, yeah. Yes,
Mhm.
I would recommend that.
Mhm.
Now, the other thing is that I wouldn't ask
Mhm.
if he needs to go.
Mhm.
We say it's time to,
Okay.
okay? Now, there may be some resistance, and if they're throwing a huge fit, there's no reason to go in after that.
Mhm.
Like there's something else going on there. I wouldn't push that,
Mhm.
but at school, we say it's time to.
Mhm.
Like it's time to eat, it's time to go outside, it's time to, we don't say, do you need to?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And especially the times where first thing in the morning, right before bed, like
Mhm.
I would do it right before lunch, right after lunch, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so, okay. Any other questions? Yeah, Christina.
So I have an hour and, well, today was hour and 15 minutes to get here to school.
Oh,
She can hold it for 20 minutes, that's it.
yeah,
So I've been putting her in a pull-up. I have the Amazon sells these piddle pads that you can put in.
yeah,
I have two, so I just swap them out.
yeah,
I also put those incontinence pads underneath because those still, the piddle pads leak anyway.
yeah,
She has been coming to school wet every single day, and she is aware of it, and it's embarrassing to her and doesn't want to get out of the car.
oh.
So
Can you stop
only thought-
halfway?
I've been doing that. That's like another 15, 20 minutes of her
Yes.
sitting there after that. So,
Yeah,
and most times, like I said, she doesn't tell me, so
Right.
she's just wet. So I pull over and I
Yeah.
change her,
yeah,
but I almost feel like I'm setting her up for disaster by doing that,
Yeah.
knowing that she can only hold it for 20 minutes right now.
right,
So do you have any suggestions on that? I mean, my only other choice is to put her back in a diaper. Also adding to the predicament is that she has very bad eczema
mm,
and she scratches it. So
Mhm.
having the urine on her skin,
hurts,
it hurts, it stings. It can also lead to staph infections.
right,
So I've also got that coming into play.
yeah,
So I almost feel that's why I've just been putting her in pull-ups, because I just don't want it
Yeah.
all over her skin.
so, gosh, that's a really unique situation. I think probably what I would recommend is talking to her about it, because, she's so verbal, right? And having a real conversation with her about it. And then I would really recommend getting some cloth diapers and letting her know, because then she can feel it, right, on her skin.
Cloth diapers versus the training pants? Okay,
Training pants are actually designed still so that they can't feel it as much.
okay.
Cloth diapers are cotton up against your skin, and it's like when you sweat, you can feel it, right?
Okay.
And you want her to have the experience of feeling it. I mean, it's not, I would say as soon as she can build that skill to hold it longer, and usually they can hold it longer than 20 minutes, even though they don't know. But part of what's happened for her is she now is on a schedule where that's when she goes, right? And so it may not be as much about her not being able to hold it longer, but somehow that's the schedule. So I would also play and see if you can play with her schedule.
Okay.
Maybe you leave a little earlier and build in some time to just stop midway. Maybe I don't know, maybe have breakfast at a different time after you get dressed, or you know what I mean, play, see if you can, because it's a couple weeks ago, I woke up every night at 2 o'clock in the morning and I couldn't go back to sleep, right? And so it was just, my brain got in this pattern, and they do the same thing with their experience, and it's when she has to go. So let's see if we can kind of shift her a little bit, even maybe with her sleep pattern or something.
Routines, or how many drinks she has in the morning, or
Something. I play with that, because my guess is, look, she can hold it for longer than 20 minutes, because she does during the day. It's just somehow that's her schedule right now,
okay.
right? That's what I would probably
Okay.
play
That's
with.
a great suggestion, yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions on that? No? Okay. Talked about wiping. Have your child wash their hands even when they try to go to the bathroom and they're not successful. You have them wash their hands. Always offer a choice. So when you say it's time to use the toilet, would you like to sit on the potty or on the big toilet? So there's that choice. Or what kind of underwear would you like to put on, right? You have a choice. Now, for some children, you will find that too many choices, if it's too broad, it's really hard for them. So you narrow down the choices to 2. And then maybe a couple weeks later, they have 3 choices, right? So for underwear, it may be too much for them to look at a whole basket of underwear and get to pick one. So we have children who come in and there are 50 choices of work in the room, and for them, that's overwhelming. So you need to say, would you like to do this work or this work, right? So same thing, okay? You can also talk to them about, this is important, are your underwear dry or wet, right? You want them to start paying attention to what you want to create. So we don't want to say all the time, don't go to the bathroom on the floor, because what the brain hears, this is, old research, what the brain hears is it doesn't hear the don't, and it just somehow puts it into a positive, so it hears go to the bathroom on the floor. So, like, you'll notice in our classrooms, we don't say don't run, we say please walk. So, please sit on the toilet, urine goes into the toilet. So you want to say what you want to create, okay? Also, celebrate victories. So this is really interesting. My 5-year-old,
You heard about a 5-year-old.
I can tell this one. This is a good one. Right? I heard once of a 5-year-old. My 5-year-old is, this morning, she came in and she doesn't do this every day, okay, so but she came in and she wanted an egg sandwich for her lunch, so she fried the egg herself. She cracked it, she put the butter in the pan, she fried the egg at the stove and made the whole sandwich herself. But a couple days ago, she had said to me, I don't like it when you get all excited. I'm like, great. So I'm allowed to praise you. All right, so I said to her this morning, what would you like me to say about the fact that you made your lunch? Because I'd like to acknowledge that, and I think it's cool. And she said, you say it like this. You did a good job. My husband's like, yeah, and so we started playing with that. Anyway, so I was like, you're the godfather? Anyway, so, and we don't say good job anyway, because that's not what we say. I said, well, how about I say, so, you made your own lunch today, how do you feel? And she said, well, you can't say like at the end, that ruins it. I was like, oh my God. So, anyway, they actually don't necessarily, if they have a victory and they come to you to celebrate it, celebrate with them. We don't call them good boy or good girl because it actually puts a label on them, and they're not good, so they're not good at the other times, right? But you can celebrate with them. You say what you see, right? So you say, you just put all of your urine in the toilet and wiped by yourself. How do you feel? Right? Because as human beings, we want somebody to see us and see our accomplishments. But we don't need to place our value judgment on what they just did. Okay? And so I think that's actually what Georgie was reminding me, because when I get like, oh, you did that, she's like, hey, I don't want your value judgment. You just tell me what you saw, right? Okay, my 5-year-old is training me. So I would really recommend, if they don't want your acknowledgement, if they're not coming to you to say, I did it, zip it. It's not about you. It's not about you. And we make it about us, and all of a sudden, they are worried about, wow, how do I get them to act like that again, that approval thing, and they weren't asking for it. And that was really what Georgie was reminding me of. You don't need to say anything. I'm proud of myself. I got it. I didn't need to put any attention on it. I could just zip it. Okay? So when they come, the first time they put it in there, you say, you put your urine. You do it like this. You put your urine in the toilet. Right? And they can decide how they feel. Okay? Let's see. Take the potty in the trunk of the car, limit outings to 1 hour. Oh, initially it's good to have a limit on the time. Bathroom. And then it gives you a list of when to go. I highly recommend, Matt has read this, Toilet Awareness. It's on Amazon. It's tiny, tiny little book. It's
like
really,
10 pages.
Yeah, it's really, and it's all pictures, so that it shows you how to set up. A lot of the same information, but one of the things that's not in the picture that I would recommend that they use in the classroom is a bench. Having a bench that they can sit on. It's easier to put their underwear and their pants on that way. Okay.
Does the stool work also?
Stool can work. Yeah. Just make sure the stool's not floppy, right? I actually bought them from Michael Olaf. Is a great great company if you're looking to have Montessori items for your home for young children. And every catalog, their catalogs are $6 if you're buying them the first time, but they have all of these Montessori articles at the top of each page that are really good. Okay, so I do recommend that. So just make sure that you get something that's not tippy so that they can really sit and without fear of falling over. Okay? Okay,
Can you
so
explain the one bullet point, when successful 3 times, set timer for every 10 minutes?
let's see. That's the timer, the piece we talked about. I don't think I did it and said it in that same way. Oh, because initially you set the timer.
For 20 minutes?
Yeah, so I need to change that because part of what has happened is I've gotten feedback from people on how long they really feel like the time is. So I would start with 20 minutes, then I would set it to longer, like I would go to 40 minutes and give yourself more time. So that,
After the successful 3 times?
yes,
Okay.
after the successful 3 times, you give yourself a longer period.
Okay.
Does that
So
make
not
sense?
10 minutes.
You can, listen, I would do it whatever you feel comfortable with. When I first sent this out, I had not used the timer right because I forgot. And I think I made it harder for my girls because I didn't remember. Like, I got distracted.
It's the wine.
I'm sorry?
It was the wine.
Yeah, probably, actually. Well, after 2 it was, right? So I'm a total lightweight too. My husband's like, what is going on? But I got feedback since then from somebody who did this, actually a couple people, and they said, you can start with 20 minutes. So, anything else?
Is there a set date that they're starting? Because I've heard October.
The way that I've heard them frame it is that every child will be transitioned to underwear by the end of October.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that they're having a date that everybody's starting. I think they're trying to actually kind of phase children in. If, like Matt, you know that you're ready.
We're starting tomorrow.
Great. They should start tomorrow.
No, I'm serious.
She's ready.
After the discussion we had, yeah.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
reason.
No
And
doubt.
part of what happens is I didn't talk about this. There's a sensitive period for toileting. It is a period where they're interested. If you miss the sensitive period, it gets hard. Like, that's just how it is. There's a sensitive period for learning your sounds. If you miss the sensitive period, it gets hard. There's a sensitive, right? So the sensitive period for sounds is generally around age 3, okay? The sensitive period for toileting is generally about 14 months to about 24 months, okay? I had one who was literally, Sia was 16 months, that was it, she was done, and Georgie was 22 months, right? And I tried Georgie earlier, and her guide was like, she's not ready, and it was a disaster, because I wanted it done. So you really do have to follow when they're ready, right?
So if we just ask the guides, like, do you think that we're ready to start?
Yes.
Should we wait a couple of weeks? They'll have a
Yes.
viewpoint. Okay.
Yeah, and if you're ready to start now, I'm sure that they'd be happy to have some children starting earlier.
Okay.
Because it's a huge undertaking for the classroom.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it, you're working with one,
Yeah, I can.
right?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Charlotte, are you okay?
I'm doing it next week.
You are?
Before she starts.
Oh, good. Great. Is she your first?
And only.
First.
And last, yeah.
Great. Okay, so in the classroom, a lot of the same things, just so you know. So they have a stool or a bench by the bathroom, and in our new bathrooms, in our new building, the bathrooms are going to be bigger, so they'll have the bench in the bathroom too. And they come in the morning, they literally sit on the toilet immediately, they sit on the toilet again, I believe, right after snack, before they go out to the playground, after they come in from the playground, before they lay down if they stay for a nap, after they get up from nap, before they go out for play in the afternoon if they stay through, and right when they come in. So that is when they go. They just, it's part of the schedule. It's so much easier. The children know. Plus, then they sit on the toilet when they come in, and then they wash their hands, so they wash off, their sister has a cold or whatever, which is great. They use the same language, urine, bowel movement, toilet. We are not allowed to have potties at school, according to OCC standards, so they only will be going on a toilet at school. What other questions do you have about school and the classroom and how?
Well, they give us a list of like what we need to bring, like how many pairs of diapers, pants, all that type of stuff.
If your child stays for nap,
Yeah,
I would.
I'm in math program.
You're a MAP, okay, so you're gonna still send some diapers for nap,
Okay.
but otherwise, you're just gonna send,
As many
you're
pairs of
gonna send
underwear
like
as
12, if
possible.
you're in MAP, you're gonna send 15 pairs of underwear,
Okay.
and probably that many pairs of pants.
Okay.
Like as many as you go to Target, or go to Goodwill,
Okay.
just buy them out of like pants.
Okay.
Because you may not need that many, and you can talk to Michelle, she'll have a much better sense, because we've done this, we did it last year.
Okay.
But you wanna really be prepared that they can have a lot of accidents during the
Yeah.
day,
Okay.
or incidents. We're trying to not call it an accident. So,
And then at what point, if we don't go like all in for the sleeping and all that stuff, this is a little daunting. At what point do you start to do sleep?
So Sia, my oldest, who toilet learned at 16 months, told me when she was about, I guess she was about 2, she said, I don't need a diaper anymore at
Okay.
nap. It's like, okay. And then about a week later, she said, I don't need this at night.
Okay.
Great. And her diapers were not dry in the morning. So, but when she told us that, we
Yeah.
just knew that, right? Georgie, we just started noticing that her diaper was dry. And we talked about it and did it.
Ours was dry yesterday, and immediately, so I was like, well, this is weird, and immediately I was like, okay, let's go to the bathroom, and
Right.
like, I was like, wow, how was all that urine in your tiny little body, but okay.
Well, so that actually demonstrates that she has the capacity to
Okay.
hold her bladder.
Okay.
And that's really what it is. It's learning that self-control, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, any other questions? Yeah.
The lessons.
Yes.
Do you only have to do them one time or?
No, great question, yes. You may have to give the same lesson 16 times, right? And you do it, the key is to do it exactly the same way every time, as much as you can, right? You might want, my videotaper left, but you may want to videotape yourself giving it so you know. But you want to give it the same way every time, because they will notice the differences. And you want to do it exactly the way you want them to do it. Okay? So if they're not, so in Montessori, if they're not doing something the way that we presented it, we don't correct them in the middle of it. We just give them another lesson in an uncharged time, right? So for washing their hands, if they use 16 things of soap, right? Then after they're done, go read a book, and then you say, I'd like to give you a lesson on washing your hands. And you go back over and you do, maybe you say one, right? We call it a point of interest. There's something that you're drawing them to in the lesson that you want them to specifically focus on. So you may, sometimes at the point of interest is with the hands, so you may go, one, or. Right? So you're so proud of yourself, because you're teaching them to be proud of themselves. And notice you're not going, did I do a good job? Right? It's about how their intrinsic motivation. Right?
So we need to do the underwear 16 times?
You may.
I need to put my underwear on 16 times.
You may.
I just
Like,
to clarify that.
listen.
This is what you're saying.
I'll tell you what we do on weekends now. I take the things that during the week don't work, because I have given up being a nag in my house. I read Duct Tape Parenting, changed my world, and changed my wifing, by the way. I am no longer a nag as a wife. My relationship is so much better. My husband's like, wow, after 16 years, like I have stopped being a drill sergeant and a nag. It's amazing. So anyway, I highly recommend that book. But the duct tape parenting, I really saw that I was constantly in a Montessori way. Did you remember? Right, constantly. And so now what I do is I pick the things, my kids are older, I pick the things that we need to focus and I do them on the weekend. And so we practice whatever it is. So my oldest one, and we know it's kind of a joke, I'm like, Sia, we're gonna practice. Oh, she's gonna, I can't tell you that one. Okay, Georgie, we're gonna practice, unloading our lunchbox when we come in the house. She's like, oh, Mom, we want to be a master of this. And we go outside and we come in the house and we take the lunchbox out of the backpack and we, and I'll have her do it 2 or 3 times and she scrapes it and we do this whole thing because there's no pressure. Because I work a lot of hours, right? And so on the weeknights, I don't have it in me to do that level of work with them. But I will tell you, even with my 5-year-old, I still, to this day, if there's something that she's not doing that she should be doing, like she stopped taking her plate and being willing to set the table. So then I come in and we never yell, it's not about that. It's about going, oh, we're gonna take our plates together. And we do it together. We're gonna set the table together. And we connect on that level. And what's interesting is about a week ago she had stopped that, and what that tells me is she's disconnected from me. Defiance is a symbol that they're not connected. Absolutely 100%. There's a great article on our Facebook page, probably 6 months back, about it. And actually, Kim, let's see if we can find it. It was an aha parenting. We should put it on the website. So I really got it, because my 5-year-old can be defiant, right? They need connection when they're not necessarily in that moment, but that's showing that they need connection. So I've come back in and connected, and then this morning, she could not have been more helpful, and that came out of our connection. So I really look at our connection when I see behavior from her that doesn't work, right? It's a good indication that I'm kind of going into my own world too much and not present to what she really needs. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And I think that comes up more as they get older. Like 2, you might not see it at the same level, although my Georgie's always been a great radar for me. So it is 5 minutes early, so how do you like that? Mm-hmm. If anybody has any questions afterwards, I'm happy to answer them for you. Thank you all very much. Good luck. We're in it with you. Let us know if you need anything else, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.